So over the past couple days, we've moved about 150 animals as part of the annual capture at Fort Niobrara Refuge. The main goal was doing some herd health, taking some samples and looking at any disease we may have in the herd, and also taking blood samples and just checking for overall herd health. And then through the 2-day period, we sorted off around 60 bison that we will be donating here later this week. Go to tribes, it's not necessarily local tribes, but we generally try to keep those bison as close as we can to minimize the stress and that associated with transporting them. Definitely trying to keep that close relationship with tribes and help assist tribes establish conservation herds and other herds for bison and on various tribal lands.
Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate what you do out here.
Absolutely. Thanks for your interest.
Okay, this is the shoot area at the Fort Niobrara Wildlife Refuge. See all the workers lined up. Bring the bison in. Here's the squeeze chute. We're going after bison in the chute.
This is going to be a donate.
This bison will be donated to one of the tribes.
Wait. That's going out. Sure, your yearling females are going into that elephant. So, I mean, there's a few variations, sure, but I like her for yearling. Keep your hands flat. Lock the veins. Feel good about it. Feel pretty good about where your needle's going. Get here. Hand this to my sample manager. Just going to hang on to it for a moment. And she's going to pull the plastic off without yanking my tip off though. Gently, you're just going to hang on to it. This is where it comes behind your finger. You always want to be in the knees here. That's where the beer comes from. Stay. Up. Gentle spin. Head in gently. Back off 2 inches. Gently press. Spin. Draw way the heck back. And pull the system out. We are good to donate. We are good.
Okay, now it comes. Okay, he's in the chute. Here's a look at the hydraulic controls on the squeeze chute. Have to be quiet here. Check the ear tag.
You like it for your young male? I'm a fan of, I used to not kneel when my knees were good. I would squat it so you can push back if an animal swings its head. This is shaped like a groove for the jugular, so you'll jam these fingers. By the time I'm done in Oklahoma the first week in November, I'm pretty agile powered.
He's in the chute.
in Oklahoma. You're going to put your finger between the head and the heart, and it'll fill up close to the head. You can just leave that there for just a second.
Running the test.
Yep.
Donation to the Triangle Family.
There it goes. Okay, they're checking the
It's flashing and not beeping.
Right behind it.
We're wanting to
Okay, this is
stress the note. Respiratory diseases, that's actually serums and those are antibodies. It doesn't tell us if the animal's sick now. It tells us if they were exposed, developed antibodies, and recovered from that infection. So that tells us what the herd might have experienced. So, you know, when you got chicken pox as a kid, you got antibodies to that in you, and we can test that in these. So that gives me an idea of what the whole herd might have been exposed to this time.
How did they get it?
From each other. Sometimes it's like colds. It circulates between humans. Some of these diseases are very mild, and you might see a sniffle. Giant Q-tip is actually for a disease called Mycoplasma bovis. It is reservoired in cattle. It causes some disease in young cattle feedlot scenarios. If anybody's familiar with cattle, they used to call it chronic polyarthritis polypneumonia syndrome. Part of the bovine respiratory disease complex. In bison, it gives them pneumonia and it kills them. We don't have it in this herd. We do not have it in any Fish and Wildlife Service herds, and if we get it, it'll kill animals. It doesn't get to bison without killing them. So what we're doing here is those nasal swabs are actually running PCR for the bug. So if that bug is in their nose, even if the animal's not sick yet, we'll know it, and we won't donate it. Okay, we do not have that in any of our herds, but I'm collecting that sample so that when we donate them, I can tell the people who get these that we did not detect the disease. The swabs are perfect, obviously. If you've got a little bacteria on this side and it's not actually on this side, now go up one side, I may miss it. We think these swabs are maybe 75, 80, maybe 85% sensitive. We have some research herds that are known positives. Those poor animals were double swabbing each nostril. We're trying to learn because this is a new disease in bison and it's bad. So we got to learn how to test for it. There's no good blood test for that one yet. USD is working on a blood test. The current blood test, quite frankly, sucks. I won't even send it to the lab because it's that bad. So the 2-foot Q-tips take way back. That bug is in the lung. So when we started this work, we did short Q-tips. Well, it turns out you can have a negative Q-tip on the in the nose and a positive with the long one. So we haven't done the little ones because that bug hides in there, but they spread it amongst themselves in the herd. You know, we don't have that disease in any herds, but we're taking that Q-tip sample and it's actually looking for the bacteria, not antibodies, actually looking for the bacteria to say this animal we do not detect. We can't ever use the word negative or not infected because again that 10-15% chance we could have missed it. If I don't get that Q-tip over there just right where that bag is, I'm going to miss it. So, and then the purple tops, that's another test that's really fun. Colorado State University is developing a serology blood test antibodies for blue tongue virus. So they'll actually look for the virus in that purple top, and then I'm going to send them some of the liquid part that comes out of those red tops. Those red top tubes are designed to separate the liquid part with the antibodies. So they'll test for the virus in the purple top and the antibodies in the other one. So if they get a positive in the purple top, their new blood test better test positive in the other one. Now we know if an animal just got infected yesterday, it won't have antibodies yet. So that's what we also don't know. How long after an animal's infected do the antibodies show up, and how long do the antibodies last? If one of these animals had blue tongue last year, blue tongue comes from deer. Biting flies, spreads, EHD, it's everywhere. We don't tend to see a lot of mortality in bison. We did have an EHD blue tongue outbreak here that killed a few bison back in 2013. So it had not been documented in bison, and we documented that here. So, but yeah, it's absolutely, the purple tops, it's really exciting that a university is developing a new test for us. There used to be a test that the company quit making enough money on it, and they quit making the kits. So labs don't have a good way to test it, so we've got a university project now to develop a new test. So that's why we don't normally do those purple tops, it's for research. And I'm just sending them 25 or 30, that's enough for them to develop a new test with. And I'm collecting samples from here all the way south as we do our different captures. So they'll get blood purple tops from Oklahoma too, which blue tongue virus should be there every year. As you go north, the insects aren't infected every year. Cattle don't get infected. It circulates cattle, deer, through insect bites and into bites. It can also be in pronghorn antelope or elk or bighorn sheep. So it can affect quite a few species.
Is it true that if you isolate a bison, that the stress can kill them being by themselves? Or
it depends on the animal, but I will tell you that 99% of what I see, if we set an animal alone here, even they'll pace, they'll overheat, they'll hit walls. We never transport individual animals. They are very social animals. They really are. And that stress of holding them singly. You'll actually notice we bring them in groups of like 10 to 15. Then we let them settle. We give them the space to kind of flow and settle and get themselves settled down before we start moving them here towards either the exit or the squeeze. And we don't actually split them off into singles until right there. We let them stay together through most of it because they do get real stressed. And then they also get hot. And you know, they can handle summer temperatures, but if you add a run constantly, it can be hard on them. Absolutely. So it's not something that we interfere with that natural herd behavior best we can. Great question. So we go down that list, and if they have a herd, but they want some new genetics, then so starting a new herd gets top priority. Second priority is if you have a herd but you're looking for new genetics, because inbreeding isn't good. We like to share those genetics around. And we know that all of our bison in the National Wildlife Refuge System have very low cattle genes compared to some of the production animals. So people really like to get our animals.
And how many do you donate?
It depends on how the herd's doing that year. So this year it'll be somewhere between like 50 and 60. And of course we don't know what the final count is until we gather them. But what we do is we identify the minimum number, what we think we need to keep our herd stable and healthy. So I actually look at what our reproduction is, how many elderly cows I have. They may have a calf every 2 or 3 years. The younger cows may have a calf every year. So I look at that age structure in the herd, and if I'm a little heavier on the older age classes, I'll be sure I'm sending in some younger females. The cow-bull ratio is also important for genetics. So in most of the production herds, you just need enough bulls to breed that herd. But we want as many bulls as possible to contribute genetically. That really helps. So we keep close to a 50-50 ratio. It also lets them fight, which is part of that natural selection. So if you're not strong enough and you get gored as a 2-year-old, we probably didn't want those genetics. That's okay. Letting them be angry and gore and kill each other is part of wild bison. So that's why having a lot of bulls, I mean, if we had 3 bulls here, they're all like, we don't need to fight each other, guys, let's go, you know. So when we have, you know, half bulls in this herd, we want that fighting in competition. It's part of wild bison, part of who they are. Fussy and stressed in this pen. We want them out off the refuge. And on their new home, they get turned loose, you know, in South Dakota or wherever they're going, and they might have 50,000 acres to run. And as yearlings, that's one of the things we love about donating yearlings. We've actually put bleach, so human hair bleach, if you mark individual animals with human hair bleach, it sheds out. So they'll integrate and make friends in the herd within 24 hours. It is so cool. You can actually see them. I have some pictures of We did 3 yearlings. And I put little white X's on their butt so we could tell who they are. The public loved it. We had people taking it. The new kids have friends. I mean, it's amazing. Like with less than a day, they're like hanging out, grazing and grunting with everybody else. The yearlings they do well. They do really well in their new home. Pretty cool. Yeah. Just get right in there. The kindergarten class, they all mix up and they all do real well. They're buds.
How big is your total herd?
So here we about 250. So we have, including this year's calves, we're probably 420 maybe. So on average we'll have between 60 and 80 calves, again depending on how many girls look up. Got missed last year. We're going to do tail hair and we're going to do blood part. Yep, we're going to check. Blood part down. So I don't pull tail hair until you get
They have a spreader bar that brings the horns out so they have room to vaccinate. They're all blood. Now they're pulling tail hair for genetics.